Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing one of their past projects. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is knowing when to pivot in real estate. Real estate investors should recognize the importance of pivoting strategies to adapt to market changes and capitalize on emerging opportunities. Stay informed about evolving market trends, economic conditions, and regulatory changes that may impact your investments. Be flexible and willing to adjust your investment approach, whether it's shifting focus from one property type to another, exploring new geographic markets, or modifying your exit strategies. By embracing a mindset of agility and adaptability, you can optimize your investment portfolio and navigate through dynamic market conditions more effectively. So, learning to pivot is imperative for real estate investors aiming to achieve sustained growth and success in their ventures. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Mark Davis. Mark is a seasoned professional with a diverse background and a strong commitment to family values. In 2020, Mark made a significant career transition from the IT sector to become an entrepreneur in real estate investing. This bold move allowed him to pursue his passion for business while also providing him with the flexibility to prioritize his family. With a background as a director in a Fortune 6 company, Mark brings a strategic vision to his entrepreneurial ventures. His ability to adapt to new challenges and his commitment to continuous learning has been instrumental in his professional growth. It is my pleasure to have him on the show, so welcome, Mark Davis. Welcome. Happy to have you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And this is your first podcast, so I am popping your podcast cherry. It gives me excitement. And this is pre-recorded, but it's getting released on April 8th, which is what day is that, Mark?
It is my birthday.
And happy birthday to you. So thank you so much for being here. And we know each other through Tarek El Moussa. You are one of his students in the HomeSchooled by Tarek program. But I want to hear, I don't interact too much with you, but I want to hear what made you do that transition from the IT world into real estate.
So that's pretty simple. So in IT, you're working a lot of hours and you're making a lot of great money. And so, and I was a director and I ran a big team. So then I'm looking at my retirement funds and I'm like, well, now I'm getting into, I'm in my mid 50s and I'm like, this ain't going to work. I'm going to outlive that money in no time at all if I want to live this same lifestyle. So I'm like, well, okay, so we started talking and I'm like, the only path I can see is real estate. I couldn't see any other path. To me, the stock market was too much like gambling and real estate seemed to be there. And so that was how I started to first decide that we're going to go to real estate. And then I had a buddy and we started talking and we're going to start flipping houses. And so that was my entry in, and then we had some adventures, and then I decided I'm going full time with this. I just took a leap of faith and And in the meantime, I got my license and stuff like that. So I'm licensed in Colorado, even though I don't do a lot of investing in Colorado. I do. I am licensed here. So
nice.
yeah.
And how did you find Tarek's program?
So through the mentor that I already was working with, I met a guy, Rye Guy.
Rye Guy. We love Rye Guy.
Yeah. And I connected with him and we started talking and so he said, hey, this program that I'm associated with, they have some things that might help you fill some of the gaps that you're having. And talk to me about Tarek and stuff. And so I came over and I went into Tarek's program and I love it. I mean, I've been there a while and the thing that I love the absolute most about Tarek is Tarek's a big name in this industry. Yes. I mean, he really is, but he's so accessible. He makes himself accessible. He just, in the things that he'll do for people, and he's not upselling. It's not an upsell availability. He has his seminar thing, but if you need him or that, he's just there. And I really, really like that about him.
I agree 1,000%. And my listeners, by the way, my 200th episode is coming up, and I finally got the opportunity to get Tarek on the show. So make sure you check out the 200th episode once that is released. Well, we could sit here and chit chat. I do want to ask you before we get into this project, though, did you feel that paying for your education was an important step in this whole process?
Yeah, and through this story, you'll understand why I believe that. But yes, so had I known these things were available before I first got in, I'd have went that route than the route that I did, and you'll see why here in a little bit.
All right, so let's dive into this project and tell me about it. What, like the beds and baths, what year it was built, along with anything special about the property. So when did this happen, by the way?
So this is back in 19. So this is the second flip. So this is
so you're still in IT at this time.
I'm still in IT.
Oh, this is before Tarek. Okay, I got it.
This is before any mentorship. I had no education at this time. So like I said, me and my buddy, we talked and said, hey, let's flip houses. So we said, okay, let's get with one of these companies. So we got with a company and they brought us the deals. And so we got the first deal, we got it all rehabbed, and now we're getting close to being into the putting it on market. And so it was on market. We're figuring, okay, no problem. We're going to get our second one. So we're overlapped now. Okay. So now we're overlapped and we're running hard money. But so the house was a 2-bed, 2-bath, is 1,100 square feet. It was a 2-car garage, but it wasn't like a typical side-by-side 2-car garage. You could fit 2 small cars in end to end.
Ooh.
And it was long like that. So you couldn't fit a big car like a something like that and another car. But you could put a car and a motorcycle, big car and a motorcycle, but 2 small cars you could put in there end to end. And so
where is this located?
What's that? This is in Arvada in Colorado.
Okay.
So these were in Colorado. They are both in there. And so it was right where, if you know the Denver area, Arvada, there's a part called Old Town. Well, and that's a real, trendy place. It's always trendy. It's always cool. And this house was within walking distance, and it was right across the street from the creek. So it was really great location.
How old was it?
What's that? Say that
How
again?
old was it?
It was, I can't remember the year. I have it. Oh, it was built in 45.
Okay.
So that's when it was built, and like that, and never been rehabbed or anything before. So
a little time capsule. I love those.
Yeah, it was pretty beat. Now they did put this little sunroom thing on the back, which was kind of cool, but you could tell it was totally non-conforming because somebody that was tall, if as you get closer to the window, they would actually hit their head on the ceiling. So and we had to make a custom door for the door. But it was cool. It was great for a little breakfasty kind of place if you just wanted to sit and look out in the backyard and get some sun. So it was really cute.
And you said the program that you signed up with, they brought you this deal?
No, this was so the company that brought us this deal, if I can say it, it was Net Worth.
Okay.
So Net Worth's a big wholesaler.
Got it.
And they work a specific way, and we worked with them.
So a wholesaler brought you this deal. What were the stipulations in getting it? Like, did you have to put a deposit down? Were you able to walk the property prior?
Yeah,
Tell
absolutely.
us how that went. Okay.
I mean, absolutely. So the way they do it is they bring all their investors on a single day, kind of like an auction kind of thing. They bring all their investors, and then so my partner was the one that always walked properties because he has a construction background. And so he would walk them, and then we'd get on the phone and we would talk. So that's how we would do it.
Got it.
And he was available during the day, and I was working. So,
do you still have this partnership?
We do not run that business anymore. He left. He's in Alabama now, and I'm up here in Colorado. And we dissolved the business after this deal, just because of the way this deal went. Not because we don't get along. We are actually still really good friends and everything like that. We don't blame each other in any way. There was none of that. So it's just the circumstances of the deal, and partly our ignorance.
Got it.
In being able to be investors. Mm-hmm.
So, Mark, let me ask this before we go on. Knowing what you've been through, would you recommend to the listeners to get into a partnership with someone, a really good friend? What do you think after having experienced it firsthand?
So I like working with people. So
okay.
I would say if you're working alone, I would say yes, absolutely. Okay. But I would do it a little differently. I would, because, we were so good friends in that we left a lot of things to chance, to we're just 50-50 partners. We didn't give one side the deal breaker thing. We didn't put another person in to be the deal breaker vote or anything like that. There's things that I would structure out more, but that's all about knowledge and understanding the business as well.
Right.
So now I understand how real estate works better, how investing works better. So knowing those things, I would have things way more spelled out.
Like through contracts, et cetera.
Yeah. So, and even in your agreement, in the agreement of your business agreement. So I would have that all spelled out so that it's easier. It's just, you don't have to compromise. You don't have to do that. You just go to that doc and then you just, whatever it tells you to do, you do.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for letting us sidetrack there, because I hear so many people saying, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just get a partner and work with them. And then it goes south really quickly, and then they never continue in real estate. So I was just curious. And this is a good story. So you guys are still good friends, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah. So this wholesaler brings you this deal. What were they asking? And then what did you actually purchase it for?
We paid $282, and that's probably what they were asking, because I don't know the difference anymore. But there isn't a big negotiation with a big wholesaler like that. It doesn't work like that. You come in, this is their price, and they're pretty set, and then this is how much earnest money you have to put down to lock the deal.
Got it.
And so like New Western works that way, Net Worth works that way. So big wholesalers work that way.
Well, I have dealt with New Western a few times, and they Their prices are negotiable. So
Are
I
they?
have,
Okay.
oh, absolutely. I have said, I can't do that price. Like, well, what can you do? So they do add a little bit more on there on the price. So yes, it absolutely is negotiable. But anyway, we could talk forever about wholesalers. So,
but it might have been in the times because
okay.
it was still, I mean, in 19 in the beginning, if you look at the loop, the way it went is it was still looked like it was an upwards, like it was just going to keep climbing like it kind of did in 20 and like that. But it didn't. It had a lag. I think it was self-correcting before COVID, blah, blah, blah. That's my whole theory. But anyways, so we bought the property, put the money down.
And where did the money come from?
That I funded it.
Got it.
So I funded all but the hard money. So the down payments I funded, the closing, anything that was out of pocket I funded, and then we put hard money against the balance. So the earnest money that and then like that. So that's how the money came.
So what did the hard money lender pay for?
So they paid a rate, a mortgage. I think we put 10 or 20, whatever their percentage was down. And then they paid the balance of the mortgage.
Got
and
it.
And then they gave us, I can't remember what and they paid 100% of the
rehab
of the rehab.
Yep.
So this is an interesting place, right? When we're talking about the money, because what they paid for. So you get the loan and you're like, okay, you sign the loan. And then, so being naive again, I said, okay, I need that money. Give me that money so I can go get my stuff so we can start our rehab.
Right.
And they go, no, you got to go get your own stuff. You got to go do that first. And then you got to install it. And then we'll come and look at it. And then we'll sign off on your sheet, and then you backfill that bucket. So I'm like, oh, so I got to go get more money. So I went and so you got to go get that first chunk to go get that stuff. And then, so that's what we did. So we went and did that, get the money. We get that stuff going, and my partner's getting it done. And anytime he would say he needs something, I would go get it because that's my job, right? So I would go, he would say, okay, we're going to do counters. Okay, what do we need to do? So he'd say this, and this. So I'd schedule everything. They'd come in, they'd measure it, I'd order it, and then it'd be there. And so sometimes too early even for him. He'd say, we got to talk because you're bringing stuff too fast. Luckily, we have a garage, and I'm going to stick this here in the garage. But like sometimes you want to be just in time. I learned that you don't want to have a bunch of stuff sitting around because A, you got money out, and B, you have it could get in the way if you're not,
Very true.
Careful.
So before we go deeper into this, what was your estimated ARV at the time of purchase?
So for us, I didn't understand any of that. So we depended on what they were telling us. So they used appraised value. Their appraised value was $465.
Okay. And what were your estimated repairs, like repair costs, if you have an idea?
So I put that in at, I think we were at like 105, 10, something like that. We're somewhere around, let me see what I said. Estimated repairs were 105.
Okay.
So we weren't too far on our estimates. We were a little high, but if you add in the 20%, what we already had in, we were pretty close.
Got it.
And for being only our second flip, I thought we did pretty good.
So what was your projected timeline?
90 to 120 days.
Okay. For $105,000 in repairs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
And so that. Go ahead.
So you start the project and you're going a little bit faster in the timeline for him to keep up, and
actually we're not. Oh. So what happened? So that's in the purchase price. I got ahead, but what it and we hadn't got to that point because we were dependent on the money coming out of the first project. Well, the first project stalled, and so it didn't sell we expected 30, no more than 60 days.
Right.
And it went, I think, like almost 6 months.
Oof.
So yeah, because that's again that timing. So then we're waiting and trying to do what we could on the money that we had and like that. So then we're not getting as much work. We're only getting half days in. So now it's putting pressure on the other project, and you're paying the VIG on 2 projects. So so then we keep going. And then finally the other one sells. So now I'm able to do those things that I talked about where I'm getting ahead. I'm getting carpets ordered. I'm getting cabinets ordered. I'm getting all the stuff we need. And he's being able to do stuff. And then, so because of the money restrictions, he had to do some other stuff, and he had other commitments now because he's a contractor. So when you're a contractor, your contractors can't sit. So when they start not being able to be paid, they have to go get other work, and then they make other commitments. And so that started competing. And so then we're competing with that. I would go there and do work and stuff like that and try to help as much as I can, And so then we were doing some of that. So
any surprises through all this?
No, but we learned some stuff on the first house. So like one of the inspectors came through and they went through to scope the house on the first one, and they said they couldn't scope it. So we had to hire somebody to
explain what scoping means.
Oh, so your main line, your sewer line. So somebody will come and they run a camera through it to get to the, to
Straight.
check all the way to where you connect to the city plumbing. And so they run this camera through and they can tell you if there's any flaws or damage in there. Well, they in the first house, the inspector had said he couldn't even run the line. And we're like, what? So we hired somebody because we're not having any water issues. And I'm like, if you can't run a line, we should be having water issues.
Right.
So we hired another company to come in and re-scope it. And the guy's like, I don't know what he's talking about because I went in and I was able to scope and we got a clean video. So then then my partner said, well, we should probably scope the other one so we have the same video. So we did, and we found breakage.
Oof.
So we had to repair that. So that was unexpected, but it was only a short segment.
Okay.
It was clear up by the head. So they had to, break out the street and dig down and repair that piece of that. So that was unexpected, but so that threw some costs in there. And then, but some of the other things that we tended to do, me and my partner, that I've learned since, is we I don't know what you call it, rehab, over remodel.
Uh-huh.
In other words, going with higher end stuff that you might not have needed to, or.
So how do you determine that if you are over renovating?
So there's a couple ways. If the area that you have has houses that are for sale and that, just go to open houses. Yep. Or do a showing on a couple houses around in that neighborhood, and you can see right away what's going and what the price range is, for that. And so that's kind of the thing that we do now is look, especially since we go into remote areas, you have to look at what everybody else is doing.
Definitely. And I have a quick story on this. We did a tear down rebuild in Durham, North Carolina. And as we were doing it, this was in 2020, 21, probably right towards the beginning of 2021. So we're like at the peak. Prices are going up. And we originally estimated it to be maybe a $700,000 home, but it sold close to $1 million. And
wow.
I was like, it's going to be how much? Because we kept checking our numbers as we're getting ready to list it. And one of the things that drove me nuts is it didn't have a garage and it had a gravel driveway. And I kept saying to my husband, I'm like, we cannot list this house with, a gravel $1 million house. Are you kidding me? With a gravel driveway and no garage. And he said, Jen, look at the neighborhood. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And it was true. Everyone had gravel driveways. Nobody had a garage. And we were probably one of the last rehabs on the street. So a very important point, listeners, that you definitely want to check the neighborhood. You don't want to over renovate. I also had a student who renovated a condo and she knocked down walls and did all this stuff. And she outpriced her buyers. So you never ever want to do that. And Mark, I love that you brought that up. So thank you for doing that. All right, let's get into the actual timelines here. So you estimated 90 to 120 days for this rehab, $105,000 rehab. What was the actual timeline?
So we're at about we're at about 10 months.
Okay, much different.
By the time we closed. So we bought in March and we closed on December 20 something. It says in here, but yeah. So we sold on the 20th actually. So and I actually was the realtor.
Oh,
so
you saved on commissions. Yep.
Yeah. So I got a little bit of commission back, which helped me out a little bit. But yeah, so we were projected to sell at 465. That was what we used for all of our estimates. Well, we sold it at 383.
Oof. Okay.
So we're way under what our projections were. Again, that's where time of year. I mean, Colorado, you're talking about, we listed in September, which, everybody's going back to school, everybody's getting ready for the holidays, blah, blah, blah. It automatically falls off. And then on top of that, you ran into the holidays and then the market shifted a little bit.
So how many days was it on market?
94 days.
Okay. That's not horrible, especially, at that time of year, and for you to close right before Christmas. I mean, bravo. Yeah. That is not easy to do.
I sold it at an open house.
Really?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And so some random person off the street walks in.
They came in, they were looking. I had a bunch of people coming in. I had no problem in the open houses getting people to look. People really liked the house. I mean, my partner does awesome. I mean, especially his kitchens and bathrooms, which are key factors.
Yep.
They're beautiful. I sent you pictures if you want to look at them on the side.
Yeah, I purposely don't look at them because then I will know certain things to ask. So, but you called this project Vance, which is what made me go, what? Because my husband's name is Vance. But why was the folder labeled Vance?
So it's Vance Street.
Got it.
and so we had multiple projects going on. So I had one on Dover, one on Vance. So Dover. So when you're talking to people, the Dover house, the Vance house, like that.
Got it.
So that's how they get recognized. I do that even to this day. Talking to my accountant, the Arthur property, or like that, right?
And it's so funny because we had a project on Green Street, and we're also looking at another project on a different Green Street. I'm like, we got to get better at these naming nomenclatures here. So I'd like to start digging into the final numbers here. So your estimated repairs was 105. What were the actual repairs?
The actual repairs were somewhere around 125 to maybe up to 140. I put 125 here, but we had some other costs, some other repair costs, they came into factor, like that street thing. And we did some moving around of some stuff, like the way they had the bathroom set up. We shifted the laundry room in the bathroom. We just changed the side they were on, and it worked way better.
Well, that's not horrible difference there. Do you remember what your interest was that you paid for the hard money loan?
I absolutely remember. It was 1% a month.
So 12% annualized.
11.999.
Got it. And how about your holding costs?
It cost us about $31,500 for just interest, and then all our other closing costs were about another 30, and then like that. So 60 something thousand just in that, and just in the other stuff and the other closing costs.
And it's important for the listeners because, you hear, oh, the purchase price is this, the rehab was this, and you should make this much money. But there are holding costs, there's interest, there's all these other fees, commissions, all of that going on. So it's not as clean cut. So you thought your original ARV was going to be 465 because that's what the wholesaler told you. So what lesson did that teach you?
Oh, and this is where, again, wrapping back to our earlier conversation about education, is you need to understand how to do numbers.
Right.
Even if it's just the back of napkin numbers, because that just, you have to know it. You have to know what the real money is. You have to understand closing and carrying costs.
Right.
Because if you don't understand those and that's what pushed us underwater. I mean, that's why we lost money. So had we not had those problems, where we went long and if we'd understood that better, and if we understood what was happening with the market. And, and to my wife's point, she goes, how could you possibly know that the market was going to shift then?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know how we would have known that it would have shifted, but I think we should have understood better that market and watched number of sales and everything like that if we're going to be in that market.
All right. So final question here on numbers. So the purchase price was 282 and you sold it for 383 and just the repairs alone exceeded that. Then you have holding costs, everything else. So I know there's not a profit. How much did you lose on this property?
We're negative 107.
Wow. And did that first sale, did that help at all as far as keeping things afloat?
The first
flip that you did?
No.
Nope. So
lost on both. We lost on both.
So huge question here. Huge question. Yeah. Are you still real estate investing?
Absolutely.
So this does happen. There are some major losses. What kept you in real estate?
So that's it. So, I said, okay, well, I'm going to get my license. So then I got my license and I'm going to go be a real estate agent. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go do that. And then, so I got my license. I went to a brokerage and I started trying to do that. And I got a little bit of business and I'm like, this is just a job. If I'm going to do this, I'm going back to IT because I'm making, I was making I was making a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And then I'm like, if I go back to IT, I'm fine. But then I was like, well, and then Lee, my wife, she goes, here, there's this program. Why don't we go check them out? I go, okay, let's go. She goes, I think this fits you better. Because she knows I want to do the investing. She knows that this agent thing is great and all, but it isn't really what I want to do. I want to be doing the investing. And so that's how we got there. And then, so I had a mentor, and then through that mentor, I met Rye Guy. And then I ended up over with Tarek. And so it's so important in all of it. If nothing else, you need to know the numbers.
Absolutely. And you make your money when you buy the property. So I used to be like, what are they talking about? But that is so true. So have you let's talk about some other projects that since you went through your education, what are you averaging making on projects now?
So we kind of shifted from flipping.
Okay.
So that was our first shift. So our first shift was to do buy and holds. And so that's how I approach most all properties now, as if we're going to buy it and hold it,
okay,
whether we're going to wholesale it or not. But that's how I approach a property. That's what we do. We did. So during COVID, so it was late 20, we bought through another wholesaler, but he's just a small time wholesaler. He had, long story short, he had a bunch of houses and there were this 3-pack that he had, and I bought those 3. And then we started, and this could be a whole nother podcast, but this is about contractors and stuff like that. learned what to do and not to do with contractors because we're remote. So we trusted some people. And then long story short, I ended up going out there and doing some rehab on my own to fix up a property because the property manager wouldn't take the property. One of the properties. He says it's not in good condition, but I thought I had fixed it up through these other people. But anyway, so we got it fixed. We ended up flipping it. And actually those three, they were rentals for a short time, and then we flipped them all because the market out in that little area shifted. And then
but you're making money now in real estate.
Now we make money. Now our properties are cash flowing. So we have a property in South Lake Tahoe. We have one in Montgomery, and we just put a Airbnb up in Louisiana.
Nice.
And now I'm looking. We're going to do a small pivot here this year. We're pivoting to just do a little bit of a war chest build, and we're going to do some wholesaling this year. Nice. And we're going to kind of follow that kind of Tarek's sell a few, buy a few, sell a few, sell a few, buy one, sell a few, buy one. Yep. Kind of model we're going to do. That's the model we're following right now.
Well, I think the most important concept from this is to not give up. And you had a passion for this. You saw even further into the future how this is going to free up time with your family, or free up time with you for your family, which was your number one goal. And I just have a lot of admiration for you for not giving up and continuing. So after completing this project, Vance Street, what were your main takeaways?
That I had to know what I was doing better. I had to know more about the picture, and you don't only have to control the project, but you have to make sure, and the project money, but you have to control the whole timeline. Because the timeline will kill you.
And time is money.
It absolutely. I mean, and in this business, especially if you're flipping, it will absolutely, when you got that hard money and then your other carry costs like that. Mm-hmm,
well, Mark, I'm very impressed that you did not give up, and now you are killing it. You're having get that mailbox money, which is my favorite type of money to get. Right. And I'm so very impressed with you not giving up. So we are moving to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Mark Davis a badass, which you are. And the first letter is B for book. So what is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Oh, I put on that, actually 3 books. So one's literature, one's tech, and one is the real estate. So the literature one for me is Heart of Darkness. It's an awesome book. They've made movies out of it, and that. Then another one for tech and any person doing projects is called the Phoenix Project, and it's kind of about how to get out of your own way and how to do that. And then the last one for real estate is the Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Keller is the primary person in it. Keller Jenkins and Passbon, but Keller, everybody knows Keller.
Yes, of Keller Williams. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. All right, the first A in badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So never quit. And you'll be a winner no matter the score. And that was one of my coaches from high school. It doesn't matter. As long as you don't quit, you're going to be a winner. And you
are the epitome of that in this whole description today. So thank you. And thank that coach for instilling that in you. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives Mark to be successful?
I mean, the short answer is my family.
Yes.
I mean,
Tell us about your family.
So, we're kind of a blended family, my girls, I got them when they were 7 and 9, and now they're in their 30s. They don't like me to say that around them. But, and then Lee and I have a son together. And he's going to be 21. I can't believe it. He's going to be 21. And then she has a son that he's older. He lives with us too, and he lives here with us, and he's 36 now. And so and our youngest son, he's going to be 21. He's autistic. He's right now. So they go to high school for 4 years, and then after that, they go in this program. It's a transition program for 3 years. And so his next year will be his last year of that. So,
well, I know family is important to you, and you changed your entire career over it. So they are lucky to have you as a dad.
There has to be some kind of something, especially if he isn't going to be able to work, and that there has to be something to take care of them when we're gone.
Right.
And the retirement I had just wouldn't do that.
Got it. Well, I'm allergic to kids, so, thanks for taking one for the team. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I just said that. All right.
That's all good.
So the second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
So right now, our biggest goal is to replenish and build our war chest, get our funds back up, get some of our debt down. That's our big thing for this year. And then the second part of that is we want to add some new doors this year. I want to have a couple new doors this year, and whether it's a multi-unit or a couple single families, we haven't pinned that down yet. So because we're going, like I said, we're going into new markets here, and so part of that. That's our goal.
So as my badassery bestowment was learning to pivot, and I don't have a crystal ball, but I do feel a forecast getting much better in the real estate market from the couple lousy years that we've had. So I'm looking for that to start growing, and I'm sure your war chest will be replenished soon.
I sure hope so.
Yes, it will. So the first S in badass is for systems. Coming from IT, I'm sure you have some good systems. So what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
So outside of our tech, we use a daily sheet that we follow. That has it's a scorecard that we use, and that's what we follow to make sure that we're doing the right things consistently every day. And then based on when we see something not going, we go to those scorecards and go, what are we not doing on the scorecard? What should we be doing on here? So and then we go to those, and then that's how that's the first thing. We block our calendars for sure. My calendars always use blocking, and then we use our workflows or would define our business and how the work should flow in all pieces of our business.
So your scorecard, is it similar to, say, KPIs, just keeping track of your key performance indicators?
No, we use daily tasks. So whatever those daily tasks are. So like if you do, let's say you make phone calls. So how many of those phone calls should you make in a day? Did you make those? Did you do that? How many classified ads did you do today? And then the score should be somewhere, for 100. That's what your goal is each day, is to make that scorecard 100. 50 is easy. I can do 50 in the first hour of the day. So, because once you get certain things in place, it's just click, click, click. Okay, that's done. So then some of the things are, making the calls, did you get a house? Did you make an offer today? How many offers did you make? Because those are the big point items on the scorecard.
I like this.
Or making offers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
And it's, you're just chunking it down. And in fact, it was Rye Guy who used to say this all the time, to chunk down your goals, to break them out. And then just looking at, and Tarek even says this too, he used to call 100 people a day, and he would make it into a game of, how fast can you dial the next number and all this stuff. But, getting certain things, and then, this just turned it to a 10-point activity. Now I'm closer to that 100. And it's just literally, you're challenging yourself to get to a score, but along the way, you're making all these connections. I love that, Mark. Excellent.
That's exactly it. That was brought to me by another mentor.
Very good.
But that one, so we do that. And then, and those are our key systems, we try not to deviate from that. It's primarily me doing the work. So like,
and you're keeping yourself accountable. I love that.
That's it. Keeping yourself accountable, because it's easy. I can go watch TV all day and I got a good reason to do that. Right. So, but that, I do this. This is what we do.
Got it. All right. Mm-hmm. So to wrap this up, the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to you?
So really the ability to choose based on interest or need, not based on money. So, when you don't have money, you always make, not always, but you make a majority of your business based on how much you can afford. So when you can make a true decision based on want or need, and money is not an issue, that's real freedom.
That was so well said. Mark, it has been such a pleasure to have you on the show. If the listeners have any questions, maybe they want to hear about how you're doing that arbitrage property in Shreveport. Am I saying that right?
Shreveport. Mm-hmm.
Shreveport. How you are doing flips or buying properties out of state, a lot of them sight unseen. If people have questions they want to ask, what's the best way for them to find you?
So you can get a hold of me, through our business, our phone. You can always get a hold of me through there, which is 720-502-8999. And then through Facebook, on our Facebook page, you can always message me through there. Is the Facebook.com/Equity Investments LLC. And then through our website, you can get a hold of us through there, of course. And that's www.equityinvestmentsllc.com.
Wonderful.
Like that.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you sharing your story. It definitely can inspire people to really take a step back, look at their numbers, and not feel pressured to kind of jump into a deal. And I think you have really taught us a lot on this episode. So, Mark, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. It was a great time.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now, go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.